Welcome along, everybody. It is a fabulous battle that awaits us here in Dubai. A fabulous race battle for the second of 3 races this weekend, and the F4 UAE Championship continues. There are just 4 drivers now in the hot seat for the title fight, 23 points separating them all. A fabulous opportunity to see who is going to be lifting this year's F4 UAE Championship. And boy, are we in for an exciting time finding out who that's going to be. Jake Sanson here in the commentary box, overlooking the Dubai Autodrome Circuit, our second visit of the F4 UAE Championship to this fabulous race facility. And boy, is it going to be an exciting stuff. Yesterday's first race has given us a real sizzler in the title fight. So we now get to see how race 2 will change things. Obviously, the grid decided by fastest laps over the course of race 1. Which was an amazing encounter. Tuukka Tarpanen took pole position for it and found himself in a great position from the outset. So let's talk our way through that incredible first race as we prepare for race 2. Well, hopefully down there on the starting grid we'll be able to have a word with our pole sitter, who was the fastest driver from race 1, and that is the Mexican talent, Jesse Carrasquedo, who didn't finish the race yesterday, but they did make an impromptu pit stop to put him on fresh tyres, which gave him the tools he needed to go out and get the fastest lap of the race, and thereby securing pole position for race 2. A fabulous strategy from him and the team. And so Jesse Carrasquedo will now get to start race 2 from the very front of the grid. What can he do from there? Let's find out with Feline Wang on the starting grid.
It's a brilliant strategy to grab pole for race 2. And are you confident to stay at the front?
Yeah. Good strategy from the team. I think I can stay in this position and hold it till the end.
Good luck with the race. 那刚刚我们老 Jesse 呢，他是用一个非常好的一个车队策略呢，拿到了这个头位发车的好位置。他说呢，他也希望呢能保持一个好的发挥，拿到本场比赛的冠军。Back to you guys.
Thank you, Feline. It was great to catch up with Jesse Carrasquedo, looking very motivated ahead of race 2. I'm sure all of his fans back home in Mexico are tucking into their evening meals on a Saturday night. That is the time difference, obviously helping and assisting them out. But an amazing battle it is going to be ahead of this second race of the weekend. Boy, are we in for a show after race 2 is decided in terms of starting grid by the fastest laps from race 1. That means that Jesse Carrasquedo is on the front row of the grid alongside Tuukka Tarpanen, the man who won yesterday's first race, which was his second win of the season. And it now puts him a mere victory and a bit away from the top spot in the championship fight. Going into this race, James Wharton has 149 points. Yugo Ukachukwu has 144. Valerio Menicella has 127. And Tuukka Tarpanen has 126. A very close fight then in the championship between our top 4 contenders. Very tough to know who's going to be leading the championship by the end of race 3 here in Dubai. So let's walk you through the starting grid after yesterday's second race encounter. Jesse Carrasquedo and Tuukka Tarpanen on the front row of the starting grid. Federico Rifai is in 3rd place alongside James Wharton. And then Noah Stromsted and Alex Bolduev. Amazing to see those two up there on the 3rd row. 7th position for Bianca Bustamante, the Philippines ace that has been making massive progress for the Prema team. Here she is, 7th on the starting grid. Last year, she was a novice in European racing in the W Series, but now she has stepped into the world of F4. Everybody knows her now. Let's look back over the best bits from yesterday's first race. Tuukka Tarpanen led in the initial stages, giving us plenty of excitement to talk about. But just when we thought that Arvid Lindblad was going to go for the victory, he had problems of his own, trying to deal with the likes of his teammate James Pazik and Keanu Alazari. Brando Badua trying to make his bid on Pazik, and that was enough for Alazari to squeeze through and slot himself into 4th position. Exit stage left, Rishon Rajiv and Theo Jensen. Both drivers will be starting from the back of the grid in race 2. Once the safety car was cleared, we got underway racing once again, and Tarpanen and Wharton tried to stretch out the advantage. Badua tried again on James Pazik. He only ended up sliding into the side of his opponent. Alazari duelled with Arvid Lindblad, The young man from Dubai managing to get through into third position. Lindblad fighting back into third place. But then unfortunately, as Lindblad claimed the place, he lost the car and speared into the side of Al-Azhari. Both drivers out instantly. Some good battles through the field between Lyle and Rifai. Rifai setting a very fast lap and bagging himself third position on the grid for today's encounter. But there'll be more battles to come as Ugo Chukwu dived for the inside of his rival Rinicella, and unfortunately he drifted wide, enough to put him down in 9th position in the finish. A big problem for him, only scoring 2 points and losing the lead of the championship to James Wharton. Once Flavio Olivieri spun the car and stalled it, we had to finish under safety car, so Tuukka Tarpanen was able to seal the victory in front of Wharton and Badua. And the win for Tarpanen brings him into the title fight. The second for Wharton puts him into the lead of the championship by 5 points. It's all turned about here in Dubai, and it could turn about again. So the big question coming into race 2 is, can Tuukka Tarpanen do it a second time from the front row of the grid? Jesse Carrasquedo, the Mexican, lining up in pole position, having come into the pits during yesterday's race and changed for a fresh set of tyres and bagged himself pole position for race 2. But the topsy-turvy nature of the starting grid system for race 2 means that whoever sets the fastest lap gets the front of the starting grid. There is Ugo Chukwu. Big pressure on him as he starts back in 14th on the grid for this one, outside the points for the second race in a row. He started 12th yesterday, having originally qualified 9th. But then obviously he took a 3-place grid penalty for race 1 yesterday, having had his incident with Tuukka Tarpanen in race 3 at Kuwait. However, he's now outside the points even further, 14th on the grid alongside the Frenchman Raphael Narak. So he's got a lot of ground to make up. 40 cars on the grid. You can see Theo Jensen and Rishan Rajiv on the back row of the grid after their problems yesterday, and you should have also just been able to make out Arvid Lindblad and Keanu Al-Azhari, who are going to have to start this race from 36th and 37th respectfully on the back of the grid. 1 minute board goes up, and we are gearing ourselves up ready for the start of an epic encounter. This is potentially another game changer. We had a new championship leader overnight. James Wharton has now hit the front, 5 points ahead of Ugo Chukwu, the American driver, in the championship fight. He is also 22 points ahead of Valerio Rinicella and 23 points ahead of Tuukka Tarpanen. It really is that tight. It really is that close. Any more of them, any one of them could be leading the championship coming out of this. So this is a really interesting scenario. Ugo Chukwu having to fight his way back into contention from outside the points. And then Tarpanen second, Wharton third, Rinicella only lines up 11th. So there are some big opportunities for some point scorers to come through. The green flag flies at the top of the gantry, and we're going around for our formation lap. And as you can see, it's just a little bit misty this morning. The sun is clear and bright, but there's just a little bit of early morning fog. Jesse Carrasquedo and Tuukka Tarpanen lining up on the front row of the starting grid. On the second row, Federico Rifai with a chance to get his first win. James Wharton alongside him as the championship leader. Noah Stromsted and Alex Boduev have been quick in races. They're on the third row. Bianca Bustamante, a great job from her in 7th. Jack Beaton doing well in 8th. And we've got a car stranded on the grid. Pedro Claro and Zachary David on row 5. But we've got Raphael Narak, who's been left on the grid. Valerio Rinicella and Kanato Lee are sharing the 6th row. Raphael Narak is going nowhere for the moment. Ugo Chukwu is alongside on the 7th row. Then Nicola Lacorte and Brando Badua on the 8th row of the grid. And then it is Dion Gouda for Rodin Carlin alongside the high-tech star Will McIntyre. Rounding out the top 20, it is James Pazik for high-tech and Hamder Al-Kubaisi for Yaz Heat. And then we have Noah Lyle and Victoria Blokina on the 11th row of the grid together. Then it is Lena Bula for R2 Race Cavicel and Matteo Quintarelli for the Yaz Heat Racing Academy. Sebastian Murray for Cram alongside Alex Abkasava of the RHGP team. Then Kai Darianani in the Pinnacle alongside Georgi Janevski in the XL. Luciano Morano lines up alongside the new boy Nandavud Bidombakti. And then outside the top 30, Flavio Olivieri is alongside Akshay Bora. Row 17 of the grid sees Teofil Nile alongside Ismail Ahmed, the Santalok and the MP drivers. And then we have Fernando Barrichello alongside Arvid Lindblad, who crashed out in race 1. Keanu Alazari was collected by him. He's down in 37th on the grid alongside Valentin Klus. And then the two that brought out the first safety car yesterday, Theo Jensen and Rishon Rajiv. So the contenders are gearing up, ready for an exciting battle. It's not going to be clear who is going to have the pace immediately. Everybody feeling like they've got a good car underneath them. These F4 UAE cars, very much, for most of the field now, good experience of this circuit and these tyre temperatures and everything to give them the best possible chance of success. Of course, after this weekend, there is just one round to go, and that is at the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi, the nation's capital. But who is going to get us there in fine style? It is not easy to predict who's going to get this done. Jesse Carrasquedo, they'll obviously have put the best possible setup on the car to give him a chance to charge forward from the front end of the grid. Looks as though there is no sign of Rafael Narak for this one. Don't think he managed to get himself back up to speed again. I wonder if he's going to be starting from the back of the grid or whether he's going to be starting from the pit lane. I didn't actually see if Rafael Narak was able to get moving under his own steam again. But he obviously didn't move initially as they went around for their formation lap. But he's not there on the grid now, so I would assume that he's either managed to get started again or come into the pits with assistance from the marshals. And I haven't seen the latter, so I would guess that Rafael Narak... Oh, there is Rafael Narak, getting himself back into his original position by the look of it. Overtaking the cars he needed to slot back in. You're allowed to do that, providing that the entirety of the field hasn't overtaken you. If you fall to the back of the grid, you have to stay there. So as long as you move and you're still in the middle of the pack, you're allowed to take your original grid position. So that's why Rafael Narak is able to overtake these cars around him and slot back into position. So the 40 cars, can you believe it? 40 F4 UAE cars taking to the circuit here at Dubai. They've actually had to paint extra grid hatchings here at Dubai Autodrome to accommodate the excess competitors in the field. This is when the nerves start to intensify. This is when the tensions mount as the final few cars get into position here at Dubai Autodrome. And the drivers are ready to charge forward to the first corner. The Dubai Autodrome usually provides action, and with the lights now coming on, we're going to see how it all unfolds here at Dubai for the second time. Let's race! A good start from Carrasquedo. There's a couple of drivers who are not moving on the grid, and we've had contact by the look of it. A couple of drivers already having difficulties off the line, but it's a good start from Carrasquedo. Tarpanen trying to get through him on the inside line, but Carrasquedo will brake later and go around the far side and hold on to the lead as they make their way through turn 1. A very positive start for Carrasquedo, no major issues. Wharton seems to have got through into third position ahead of Stromsted and Rifai. So a good start from the Australian. He is determined to hold on to this championship lead. Now that he's got it, we've got someone going off in the background. It looks like one of the high-techs drifting wide. And I think we lost the rear wing on the main straight. It was very hard to see through the mist. But it looks as though we've got ourselves a bit of a shindig already, as up the inside, Rinicella seems to be getting himself into position, and that is the 54 going nowhere. So I'm afraid that's already curtains for one of the competitors. It's Alex Bolduev. Alex Bolduev, who started P6, or at least was due to start from P6, and it hasn't gone well for him at all. And that's a problem for one of the Premers that's gone straight into the back. Not entirely sure which one that was. Was that Lacorte or was that Ugachukwu? We still seem to have Bustamante up the sharp end. I couldn't make out if that was Ugachukwu or Lacorte. If it's Ugachukwu, we're in trouble. I think it was. I think it was Ugachukwu. I think that's Lacorte in the middle of the field. I can't see Ugachukwu going around. Now, if that's the case, that is an absolute hammer blow for the American. Because that is the man who was leading the championship coming into this weekend. As they duel away for position round the far side. Safety car, safety car. So the safety car has picked up the field. Well, we need to see what happened again there, really. But the safety car has collected the field. Jesse Carrasquedo leading from Tarpanen and Wharton, with Stromsted ahead of Rifai and I think Rinicella, who has made a spectacular start up into P6. But obviously Bolduev is still there on the start-finish line, and so is whoever hit him And I would hazard a guess that that might be Ugo Chukwu. Now look, the safety car is taking them through the pit lane and Kadashkado missed it. Now, there are two cars sat there on the start-finish straight, and I've got a horrible feeling that one of them is Ugo Chukwu. We need to look closer at it, really. Is that Ugo Chukwu's car? We'll certainly find out when they come across the line. The trouble is, through the mist, it's very hard to see in this early phase of the morning. It's only just coming up to 9 a.m. local time here in Dubai, and on this circuit, you do get a bit of a thick mist and fog. Let's have another look at it. Now, Boljuev is in P6, going nowhere. And he gets clipped. And there's a rear wing that goes flying. So somebody's rear wing has gone. And I can't quite make out who it is, but there's definitely a car slowing. Now, maybe from this angle we'll get a better view. Who is it that goes in? Oh, a spin from the middle of the field, and it is a Prema. That's definitely a Prema. A very strange situation, but a Prema's rear wing gets tagged as the field goes through the pit lane. And I can tell you that it is Ugo Chukwu that's abandoned on the start-finish straight. That is devastating for the championship fight. For the American, Ugo Chukwu will score 0 points from this race. And as far as his championship aspirations are concerned, that is devastating. Oh my goodness me. This championship, which was being dominated by the American a handful of races ago, has through these last 3 races been blown wide open. And you have to feel for the American. Let's have another look at it. So there's Boljuev not moving. And watch Ugo Chukwu. He's about to take avoiding action, but he just clips the back. He just clips the back of Boljuev's car. He doesn't react in time. And unfortunately, the man who dominated the early phase of this championship has just taken himself out of it. You've got to feel for Boljuev, but you really got to feel for Ugo Chukwu. He is out. And he is we're under safety car. Kadashkado in front of Tarpanen, Walton and Stromstead. Then Rifai, it's Pedro Clero who's in 6th position, ahead of Bustamante and Beaton. Then Rinicella, Kanato Lee, David, Narak, Lacorte, Pizik and Badua. Good start from Lindblad. He's up to 27th. Great start from Keanu Alazari too. He's up to 29th. But Boljuev's car abandoned on the start-finish straight. So too Ugo Chukwu. But that is devastating in terms of the championship fight. Ugo Chukwu will score no points. Very good point made on the YouTube feed. Crazy how little contact can make a huge outcome. Says Formula Racing Fan Edits. So right. Patrick Giggy, Ugo, terrible luck. He still believes he'll dominate Italian F4, but my goodness me, he is so unfortunate. Well, a very tricky start to the race then for Ugo Chukwu. It's all over. And unfortunately for him, he's now got no points from this race. 2 points from 2 races total. The last time they came to Dubai, Ugo Chukwu dominated both of the first 2 races. Came away with a maximum of 50 points. This time, only 2. And that is advantage Tarpanen and Wharton for definite. Rinicella's only looking to score 2 points this time in 9th position. He really needs a bit of some luck here. Tarpanen could really do with getting past Karashkado. But 18 points for Tarpanen would put him right back into the hunt. I would actually put him only a handful of points behind Ugo Chukwu. Now, if Tarpanen stays where he is, he moves into 3rd position in the Drivers' Championship. If he can get past Karashkado, he moves into 2nd in the Drivers' Championship. And he'll be a few points behind James Wharton. This title fight is just bubbling to the surface. It's just brewing. Now, the recovery truck is heading down the main straight to go and collect Ugo Chukwu's car. Long faces at Prema. They were looking strong. And now, all of a sudden, it's all come undone. And the talented American, who dominated the first 2 races of the season, caught out by being in the middle of the field, just had no time to react. And rather sadly and rather tragically, from his championship's point of view, it's all over in race 2. Championship certainly isn't over. 5 races to go, 125 points on the table. And with 26 points covering, 23 points covering the top 4 drivers, anyone could win this title. It could be Tukka-Tarpanen, who won the race yesterday, I should say. Could be James Wharton, who currently leads the standings. Could still be Yugo Ugachukwu, despite retiring from this one. And Valerio Renicella has yet to win his first race. Once he starts winning, he might not stop. So as the contenders make their way out of the pits, they have obviously been guided through the pit lane while this clean-up job is operation. It's now Tarpanen ahead of Wharton, Stromstead, Rifai, Claro, Bustamante and Beaton behind the race leader Jesse Carrasquedo of Mexico, who is hoping to win his first F4 race of 2023. So you can see the recovery crew's going to work. You really have to feel for Alex Bolduev, unable really to prove what he could do in the race after stalling it on the starting grid. And unfortunately collected by Yugo Ugachukwu, didn't even get the chance to go racing. Neither driver really making an impression at all. But hopefully that recovery will be fairly swift, because it looks like Ugachukwu's car is already off the start-finish straight. So if we can do that fairly quickly, then the safety car might even come in at the end of this lap, and we can go racing again. And then we'll see what Tarpanen and Wharton can do about the Mexican Jesse Carrasquedo up front. The marshals working as fast as they can. They want to give us as much racing as physically possible. So obviously there's going to be a really interesting challenge. So this is a really exciting battle. So let's see how it all continues. A really exciting battle. The competition continuing on their way now. A very exciting opportunity for the contenders. They're still just trying to keep the tyres and brakes up to temperature, weaving from side to side, trying to get the heat into the tyres. Doesn't look as though they've finished the recovery job on the main straight yet, which means we have to go around again one more time behind the safety car. For those who are hoping that a red flag is flown, well, that was the modus operandi at the start of the season, but obviously as the season has progressed, the officials' view has been, if you keep getting into incidents, we're just going to leave the safety car out in future. And that is obviously the situation we're currently in. Federico Rifai behind Noah Stromstead. And then Pedro Claro, Bianca Bustamante, Jack Beaton, Valerio Renicella and Kanato Lee is the top 10 at the moment. And there is a lot of great talent behind them in that top 10. So 11th position, Zachary David. 12th place, Rafael Narak. 13th is Nicola Lacorte, then James Pizik, Brando Badoa, Dion Gauda and Noah Lyle. Lena Bula, Matteo Quintarelli and Alex Abkasava. Then it is Nandavad Birombakdi in front of Flavio Olivieri and Victoria Blocchina. Akshay Bora, Hamda Al-Kubaisi, Arvid Lindblad and Sebastian Murray. Then Teofil Nal, Kiana Malazari, Valentin Klus, Kai Darianani, Luciano Morano, Rishon Rajiv, Ismail Ahmed, Georgi Jarafsky, Theo Jensen, Will McIntyre and Fernando Barrichello. That is the order. With just two retirements, Alex Bolduev and Yugo Ugachukwu, with Bolduev stalling on the grid and Ugachukwu not being able to get out of his way in time. And unfortunately both drivers out in rather dramatic fashion. And certainly for Yugo Ugachukwu, that is a huge hammer blow to his title aspirations. He was leading the championship coming into this weekend, scored 2 points yesterday and lost the lead of the title fight to James Wharton. Now he could have lost the whole thing. He'll look back on this with a very unfortunate perspective, because he'll be looking at this as potentially the race where it all slipped away. The contenders just keeping themselves up to speed, just trying to keep the temperature as high as possible in the tyres and brakes. You really do have to be keeping this up, because obviously you need to make sure that there's enough temperature in the tyres and brakes once you hit the brake pedal into turn 1 at full throttle. You've got to be able to get that car turned in on the first lap, otherwise you will lose everything. They go down the back straight once again, and now that the cars have been removed from the front straightaway, hopefully now we should be able to go racing again this time. But obviously not easy to predict how things are going to progress in this race, and we're obviously losing time rapidly as we clear the wreckage away But there is a very busy race program here at Dubai this weekend, so we obviously have to ensure that the schedule does not get interfered with too much. It certainly was yesterday after, in one of the previous practice sessions, a car tore through a barrier and we ended up losing 2 hours to yesterday's schedule. The lights are out on the safety car. There we go. We're going to go racing this time. So Jesse Carrasquedo will now back up the pack. Safety car in this lap. There's the confirmation. So it's now time for Jesse Carrasquedo to focus on his objective. He wants to lead this race by the time they come through at the end of the lap. Carrasquedo, Tarpinen, Wharton, Stromsted, Rifai and Pedro Claro. Then Bianca Bustamante and Narak. And when's Carrasquedo going to drop the hammer? Now he's gone for it by the look of it. He has indeed. So Jesse Carrasquedo trying to get away from Tukka Tarpinen. The Tiger is coming to pounce. Up to the final corner. And Jesse Carrasquedo will lead across the line. But how long will he be able to hold on to the lead? He's got 10 minutes plus the additional lap to hang on. It's green, 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 green for race 2 here in Dubai. So Carrasquedo under intense pressure already from Tarpinen and Wharton. Tarpinen actually drifting wide out of the final bend. Having a look at Carrasquedo as they come down the straight further back. That's just outside the top 10. We've got Rinicella trying to keep Kanato Lee behind him. Lee trying to go around the outside. Not going to happen. Valerio Rinicella being very protective. Even Carrasquedo defending. Oh, looks like somebody went off at turn 2 there. Just missed the section of the chicane and ended up going over the runoff area. But it looks to me as though, in essence, everybody's still facing in the right direction on the restart. But there are going to be a few very eager drivers to make a move. That looks like one of the PHMs going for a move on the inside of Lena Bula. So Lena Bula having a bit of initiative. No, sorry, that's Akshay Bora on the inside of Victoria Blokina, in fact. So Akshay Bora on the move. Jesse Carrasquedo from Tarpinen. Oh, there's a spin in the background. A spin in the background. That looks like one of the Rodin Carlins going off. So a bit of a spin there in the back. Now, as long as they haven't hit anything, they can keep going. Meanwhile, Stromsted and Rifai are dueling over 4th position, and we've got 3 or 4 wide coming towards us in the middle of the pack. That is Lena Bula trying to fend off from Quintarelli and Abkasava. And it hasn't worked out. Looks like Lena Bula's lost the place there. Meanwhile, that's the Riaz Heat Racing Machine trying to carve his way through the field. In the middle of the pack there, trying to make the magic happen. That is Matteo Quintarelli trying to make the progress further forward. A little further back are his teammates, Hamder Al-Kubaisi and Kiano Al-Azari. The As Heat Race Academy, the team that is funded by the Abu Dhabi government to support young talent from the United Arab Emirates in the world of esports and karting up to the world of F4. It looks like Kiano Al-Azari trying to make a move on the inside there, trying to work his way further forward. Oh no, wait, I think that's Matteo Quintarelli, in fact, making moves. Is that someone peeling into the pits further back? I think I saw someone diving for pit road as we are side by side all the way through the field. Goodness me, as a very near contact there between Sebastian Murray and I think Teofil Nal. They were having a look at a replay in the middle of the field. There's the spin. Just a little bit of a nudge. Didn't quite see who that was. I think it might have been Fernando Barrichello. But we'll find out as the cars come through at the end of the lap. But certainly there is a spin on the far side of the course on that last lap. Will McIntyre has dropped to the back of the field as well. Not entirely sure what happened there to the high-tech driver. But certainly Pedro Claro, the Brazilian, who has now come into the MP Motorsport team, is all over the back of Federico Rifai. And Bianca Bustamante is trying to fend off from the hard-charging Valerio Rinicella, who has now crept into 8th place past Jack Beaton. Onto the back straight again. And Carrasquedo leads Tarpinen. Wharton in 3rd. Jesse Carrasquedo doing a fair job here. Hanging on to the lead. Tarpinen and Wharton not far away, but they've still got time to do something about the man up front. Bustamante holding on in front of Rinicella. Further back in the pack, that is Akshay Bora making his bid on the inside as Arvid Lindblad follows in behind Bora. So Bora going wheel to wheel with Flavio Olivieri. Arvid Lindblad trying to do the same thing. Lindblad has to wait another corner. And a little further away in front of them, this is the duel between Alex Abkasava and Nandavud Birambakti. Nandavud Birambakti on the inside, and the young man from Thailand gets through. So a good run there from Nandavud Birambakti. Not a lot that Aleksandr Kasava can do about it. The Latvian going this way and that way, but Virambakti holding his nerve on the inside line. So Kasava is going to have to try and go around the far side. A little bit of a lock-up in front of them. Meanwhile, here's the top three. Karashkedo being caught by Karppinen and Wharton. All the pressure here is on Karashkedo. There's no pressure at all on the Mumbai Falcons teammates in second and third. They finish where they are. They pull clear in the championship fight. And this is a big battle now brewing as Rinicella has got past Bustamante. Bustamante wants another crack at him. Up to the first corner, and watch out as far on the far side. Beaton's going to slide in. Jack Beaton dives up the inside of Bianca Bustamante and makes the place his. So Rinicella is now 7th. Beaton is now 8th. And Bustamante is in 9th position. Great racecraft as they continue. A fascinating duel carrying on here, as the competitors are still having a great race of it. Zachary David now trying to get the move on Bianca Bustamante, and that's a spin at turn 1. I think that's Valentin Klus. That looks to me like the German Valentin Klus has gone off at turn 1 there. Let's have a look. And Klus has tried to make the move there on the inside of one of the Santa locks. And I'm afraid, yep, that is Valentin Klus who has spun it at turn 1. Now hopefully he can get going again, because we do not want this race to end under safety car. Especially now that Tarpinen and Wharton are... Oh, well, it looks like we might. 2 more cars have come together, I'm afraid. That is Theo Jensen again. And this time he seems to have collided with Noah Lyle. Now, hopefully those 2 can get going again. Otherwise, we are going to finish under safety car. Because with 4 minutes to go, that's potentially 3 cars to clear up. How did that happen? Let's have a look. Jensen. Oh, it's a spin from Jensen initially. Oh, and he just tags the back of Noah Lyle. Totally blameless, the Australian. Oh, no, it's not. That's Georgi Juravsky. I do apologise. And there is the safety car. The safety car board has come out. Well, they've got to tell their drivers quickly, because that's Pedro Claro battling with Federico Rifai for position. And I think Claro's got through, so he's got to let Rifai back past, because the safety car board was already out. Well, bit of disappointment. Theo Jensen tags Georgi Juravsky into a spin. And I'm afraid that could be the end of the race. Hopefully, though, we're going to have a bit of a clean-up job that will be fairly quick. So this is going to be an absolutely sensational situation, because now we've got the potential for Jesse Karashkedo to win his first race, but Tarpinen and Wharton are going to close up and stretch away respectfully in the championship fight. So a really extraordinary situation. There is Theo Jensen running away from his car. I think Georgi Juravsky is just unable to believe his misfortune again. Really got a feel for Theo Jensen spinning the car, and poor Georgi Juravsky completely blameless in that one. He had absolutely nowhere to go, and so Juravsky unfortunately tangling. Well, bitter disappointment for the 2 men, and unfortunately a big disappointment for the rest of us as well. We were rather hoping we could see that battle to its logical conclusion, to see if Tarpinen and Wharton could outfox Karashkedo, but I fear that that is going to take a fair while to recover those 2. Juravsky's going no further, that is for sure. Theo Jensen has already abandoned his car, and with 2 minutes to go plus the additional lap, I'm not entirely sure we're going to be able to have a race that finishes under green flag conditions yet in F4 UAE, because obviously race 1 yesterday finished under safety car, and it looks as though race 2 will as well. But let's take this into context. For those getting frustrated, I hear your frustration, I understand it, but bear in mind that these guys are 15 to 18 years old, and for many of them this is their first step into car racing after their karting careers. It's a big hill to climb. So here is the replay again of Jensen losing it, and he just catches Juravsky's right rear wheel. Such an unfortunate mishap between these 2. Jensen just losing the back end. So easy to do when you hit a crosswind in the wrong part of the course. And Juravsky doing his best to get out of the way, but unfortunately he just got tagged. And with enough force to have broken the rear suspension geometry, I'm sure. So a big disappointment Very unfortunate indeed. And now the F4 UAE Championship field is behind the safety car. But if you're Mexican, and if you're a fan of Jesse Carrasquedo, that safety car couldn't have come at a better time. Because it now means that Jesse Carrasquedo is going to take his first win. And he's been threatening to do it for most of the season, to be fair. He's had speed, but he hasn't had a lot of luck. This time, Lady Luck has paid him a visit. Because I think James Wharton and Tuka Tarpanen really would have made mincemeat of him if they'd got half a chance. Mind you, we are about to start the penultimate lap, whatever happens. And if they manage to get the course cleared on the other side of the track relatively quickly, we could have a one-lap sprint. It's not over yet, potentially. On the main straight, we've got about 12 seconds to go when they cross the line to start the penultimate lap. 3, 2, 1, 0. Time is up. So that means that we are on the penultimate lap. The next lap will be the last one. But if the safety car holds them for another 3 minutes or so, as this lap behind the safety car is likely to be in duration, that might be enough just to give us one more racing lap. And you can see the Orange Army is going to work here. And they are doing their best to clear the cars as quickly as possible. One of them can be towed, the other one can be put on the back of a low loader, and that's at turn 2. So there is still a chance we might be able to get one lap of racing in. You can bet your bottom dollar that the officials are going to do everything they can to speed things up and try and give us one more racing lap. As they love motor racing as much as we do, they don't want to be in this situation, but of course, safety has got to come first in every single situation. If there is even a slight second of doubt, you do not go racing. You have to have absolutely pinpoint precision accuracy when it comes to the safety crews. Everyone needs to be on their post. Everybody needs to have reported in. Yes, we're ready. If you guess, you leave yourself open to the worst possible consequences. So there's no guessing. You have to make sure that everything is right. Everything is ready. And if that means we finish under safety car, so be it. So Jesse Carrasquedo leads the field around behind the safety car. Took the Tarpanen in second place. That will give him 18 points. And that is going to put him just 3 points behind Ugo Chukwu in the Drivers' Championship. Can you believe it? But James Wharton in third position on 15 points is going to pull 20 clear of Ugo Chukwu. That is quite a significant balance of power adjusted there after race 2. You've got to feel for Stromstedt and Rafai. They had a real chance to make something of this. And fair play to Bianca Bustamante in this race as well. She has done a fair job to stay in the points with a lot of many more experienced drivers around her. We keep talking about the evenness and the nature of competition in this category. You've got to remember that most of these drivers have been racing against each other in the world of European karting. Bianca Bustamante has not. She didn't race against the Europeans in her karting days. She kept it totally in Asia in the Rotax and Miami classes. So the fact that she is now in 10th position up against some of the best drivers in the world of her age is very indicative of what she can do. Well, unfortunately, the safety car is going to stay out. So the race is going to end behind the safety car. I would much rather that than we took the risks. It's unfortunate. It's frustrating. Yes, we get it. We understand. But there would be an even bigger price to pay if we had those men and women, those volunteers, put at risk. I would much rather that we kept everybody safe and sound and waited until race 3 for more dueling. What it does mean, of course, though, is that it gives us a new race winner. Jesse Carrasquedo of Mexico has hung on under the pressure. Tuka Tarpanen will be second. James Wharton will be third. Then Stromstedt, Rifai, Clairot, Rinicella, Beaton, Kanato Lee and Bianca Bustamante in the points, providing they finish the lap in the positions they're currently in. Well, this is a very important moment for the Mexican fans, of which there are legion. And great to see how it all continues. So, a fabulous opportunity. Marcus Littonen says, I don't understand why they don't just drag the cars to the edge of the safety area and let the racing continue. That is effectively what they kind of are doing. But unfortunately, when a car is stationary and very tough to move, it's easier said than done. And a lot of people criticising the marshals for not cleaning the circuit fast enough. I tell you what, you go and do a marshal training day, you go and handle that fire extinguisher, you go and handle that recovery equipment, you go and manoeuvre a car that's locked in gear, and you tell me how easy it is to move. These men and women should not be criticised for doing what they're doing. They're doing a fantastic job, and I certainly couldn't do anywhere near as good a job that they are currently doing. The safety procedure is here on purpose. It is to save lives. Yes, you want racing. Yes, you want drama. But I want them all back in one piece. I want to be able to shake the hand of every single driver that took part in this race. And at the end of the weekend, I want to be able to shake hands with every single marshal as well. So Jesse Karaskedo, Tuukka Tarpanen and James Wharton. That's going to be your podium as long as they bring it through for this last round. It's worth pointing out that it's not certain yet because you do occasionally get problems on the parading in lap. Good question from KJ Gaming 53. Why don't they add laps after the race in the event of a safety car? Because it is timing that counts in this race. It's 23 minutes plus the additional lap. You can't add laps if it's a timed race because there's no laps in distance. And obviously there are more races on the schedule over the course of today. So Jesse Karaskedo is about to lead them out. What are we about to see a replay of? So we're about to see a replay of something, or at least I thought we were. But instead, we're going to see Jesse Karaskedo bring the field round and enjoy his moment of glory. Well, not if he throws it away, he doesn't. Goodness me, Jesse, don't throw it away before you get to the line. Out of the final turn, and the Mexican, Jesse Karaskedo, is finally going to get his first win in F4 UAE. A great result for the Mexican. That's how important the strategy was yesterday, coming into the pits mid-race to change tyres, getting the fastest lap, bagging the pole position, and coming through for the win. But for the man in second, Tuukka Tarpanen, he is rapidly catching the men up front in the championship fight. He now moves to third in the driver's standings. And by my math, he is only 3 points now behind Yuga Ugachukwu in the Drivers' Championship. Game on! James Wharton will extend his lead in the championship. It will now go from 5 points to 20 points. He now leads by more than the deficit he was trying to make up coming into the weekend. That is quite the turnaround for the Australian James Wharton. When he took his first race victory in Kuwait, it was as if the weight of the pressure had been lifted off his shoulders and he knew he had a chance to win the title. He said, finally, our year has begun. And ever since then, James Wharton has been playing catch me if you can mode. And certainly the cat has been faster than the mouse. For most of this season, James Wharton has been catching Yuga Ugachukwu's advantage, and now he's overtaken and extended. But a good run from Tuukka Tarpanen in second place. The winner of race 1 yesterday finishes second today. And with Tarpanen starting at the front of race 3, he could get even more points. This is where Jesse Karaskedo very nearly lost it. Now we're watching a replay of something. Yeah, this is where Jesse Karaskedo very nearly didn't follow safety car procedure at all. Now, the question is that being investigated? Because Jesse Karaskedo entered the pits. Oh, it is! 5-second penalty. 5-second penalty for Jesse Karaskedo. He does not win. Oh my goodness. Jesse Karaskedo does not win. 5-second penalty. So that means that Tuukka Tarpanen is going to be the race winner after all. Well, so Jesse Karaskedo, who crossed the white line when coming into the pits, unfortunately it's black and white, the rule states perfectly clearly. I'm afraid he is caught bang to rights. And Jesse Carrasquedo, who is set to win this race, it's been taken away. Well, as much as you may not like the ruling, I'm afraid the rules are incredibly clear. You cannot cross the white line on the way into the pits. You can't do it. Well, that is devastating for Jesse Carrasquedo. But obviously, you have to follow where the safety car goes. If the safety car is going into the pits, you have to follow it. And unfortunately, Jesse Carrasquedo didn't do it in time. And that means to say that Tuukka Tarppanen is now the race winner. Second is James Wharton, and in third, for his first podium, is Noah Stromstead. There is big drama down here at Dubai. Tuukka Tarppanen is declared the winner for the second time in a row, and that means that Tuukka Tarppanen is now second in the Drivers' Championship. You have to feel for Jesse Carrasquedo, but at the same time, rules are rules. If you did not have rules, it would be disorganized chaos. You've got to feel for Jesse Carrasquedo. But now we're going to hear from our race winner, Tuukka Tarppanen, who has won for the second time in as many races, and he's starting pole position for race 3. What if he wins the hat-trick? That really would be an astonishing result for the Flying Finn. The Tiger himself, Tuukka Tarppanen, has an opportunity here to win all 3 races at a canter. Well, a fabulous situation. James Wharton leads the championship. And he now has a lead of 23 points, would you believe? Absolutely fantastic from James Wharton. He can't believe his luck. But Tuukka Tarppanen can't believe his either. He's down with Feline Wang to talk about his second win of the weekend. Absolutely incredible for the Finn. And Tuukka Tarppanen is a double winner here in Dubai.
Hey, Tuukka, congratulations, the second win of the weekend. And it's also very dramatic for the ending. And tell us if the safety car make it easier for you?
Yeah, the pace was not what we were expecting for this morning. Jesse, who won but got 10-second time penalty, he deserved that win. But anyway, he did also mistake, and we finished behind safety car. So I didn't have too many chances to pass him, and I tried to do everything to be first in the finish line. But anyway, race win, always good for a championship.
Congratulations, thank you. 那刚刚我问到Tuukka呢，他其实是因为最后呢是安全车带领下，他其实今天呢并不是很满意今天的自己的速度，不过呢还是非常的开心的，最后可以拿到冠军，主要是因为 JC 呢拿到了一个penalty，那以4轮出白线的一个 penalty， 所以呢他呢很侥幸的拿到冠军。他说他非常的开心，依然冠军总是对这个整个的 championship 是非常有帮助的，对总冠军的排名。Back to you guys.
Thanks, Feline. What a twist of misfortune for Jesse Carrasquedo, the man who had held on for the victory, but unfortunately on his way into the pits under safety car the first time around, he did indeed cross the line on the way into the pits for not following the safety car, and unfortunately that is a punishable offence of a 5-second penalty, and that drops him to, I believe, P9. My goodness me. What a crazy race Race 2 turned out to be, but not for the reasons we thought it would. Jesse Carrasquedo leading away, Alex Bolduev stalling on the start, and the American Yuga Chukwu losing everything in this first start. And the American out of the race. No points for the former championship leader at the worst possible moment in his season. So out in front, Jesse Carrasquedo was able to lead by example as Yuga Chukwu walked away from the scene. The safety car came out, and Jesse Carrasquedo, you can see, clearly missing the pit lane entry and then crossing the white line, which is illegal. The battles resumed after the race got started again. All Carrasquedo had to do from his point of view was stay in front of Tarppanen and Wharton, but they kept him honest throughout. A spin further back in the pack from one of the Rodin Carlins. Fortunately, no safety car for that, but there would be one a little further round later in the race. The battles between Stromstead and Rafai would prove to be quite important, and it would be for the victory on the podium. Nandavud Birombakti putting in a good showing mid-race. Unfortunately, Valentin Klus would spin off at turn 1. And then Theo Jensen would have his second big incident of the weekend, sadly collecting Georgi Żurawski. Both men off the road and out of the race, triggering the safety car which we ended under. But Jesse Carrasquedo's 5-second penalty came back to hurt him. The win is stripped from the Mexican. And so Tuka Tarpanen comes through for the win in front of James Wharton and Noah Stromstad. The Mumbai Falcons are stretching away. And so here we are on the podium. Noah Stromstad in a brilliant third place. James Wharton in second, the leader of the championship. And Tuka Tarpanen now second and starting to catch the Australian. He needs to keep pushing because he keeps driving like this and Wharton's lead is suddenly going to disappear. But a very solid first podium for Noah Stromstad. He deserves that as well. It may have been fortuitous, but his driving this year has been very strong. Wharton in second, Tarpanen in first. And this pairing really is quite extraordinary. But now they get to battle with each other for the title. If Ugachukwu and Rinicella can't get their act together in race 3, it's going to be the Finn and the Australian that will battle for this F4 UAE Championship with 100 points still on the table and 4 races to go. 1 here and 3 in Abu Dhabi. So as the boys celebrate on the rostrum, it is a very interesting plot that is thickening here in the F4 UAE Championship. There is 1 race to go later today, but could Tuka Tarpanen do the unthinkable? Could he make it the triple? You'll have to join us later for race 3 to find out. From Feline Wang down in the pits and from myself, Jake Sanson, in the commentary box, hasn't F4 UAE got interesting? Every race, Tuka Tarpanen gets that little bit closer. Can he take the lead of the championship? We'll find out in race 3.